Welcome, ladies, and thank you for being with us again today. I'm Dana Canetto, your host for the Sensitive Soulful Woman Summit, where we're going to be talking about how to empower yourself as a sensitive, soulful woman in all areas of your life: health, career, relationships, how to master your energy, and so much more. And today we have with us somebody, again, so special to me, and another dear sister of mine. Her name is Shellie Nelson. So welcome, Shellie.
Hi, Dana. Thank you for having me. It's really good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're with us today. Shellie is going to be talking to us about how to be free to be me. That is her topic today. And before we go into that discussion, though, I want to tell you a little bit about Shellie. So Shellie is highly intuitive and has been seeing energy and ghosts her whole life. She has actively been on a conscious spiritual path since the age of 17. She has the ability to see the soul of a person. The focus of her work is to help spiritually aware people align to their soul's purpose and live that purpose in their daily lives. Shellie has facilitated workshops and worked privately with individuals for the past 20 years. Shellie uses her unique intuitive abilities to assist others in transforming their lives and moving to a place of empowerment and self-love. I'm so excited, Shellie, that you're here. I'm so familiar with Shellie's work. She's incredible at what she does. So thank you again, Shellie, for being here.
Thank you. I love coming and talking about soul and inspiring people to move into greater connection with themselves. So I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, and that's why you're the perfect person to be here. So I do want to start off, which I pretty much have been starting off with everybody on this, is how, when did you realize you were sensitive? What did that look like to you? And how has that actually empowered you rather than held you back?
So my first, it's interesting. It's like, I want to say like spiritual experience was when I was a child. I was probably about 7 or 8. And I didn't, I hesitate calling it spiritual because it didn't feel spiritual whatsoever. It was terrifying, actually. And so I'm calling it spiritual because it was my ability to see spirit. And it was when I recognized that not everybody saw what I saw, and that that was different. I was different. And so, excuse me. And so there is this experience that I had of when I was a child and sleeping, and in the middle of the night, I had a canopy bed. It was gorgeous. It was, when I think back, I'm like, oh, what a little fairy princess. Like, how cute is that? It was this canopy bed with a white canopy and like pink and white gingham sheets and bedspread and just like really cute.
Yeah.
And, so this, beautiful little bedroom. And so I'm sleeping and I wake up to a woman. She looked very old to me, and she was laying on the top of the canopy. Like, that canopy was cloth on top of wire. It's not possible to physically lay up there. But she was laying up there and bobbing her head up and down through the canopy toward me. And I was terrified to where I'm looking up at her and wanting to scream, but so terrified I couldn't get any voice out. Like trying to call for my mom. And the woman's starting to mock me. She's like opening her mouth and just laughing. And like, you can't even yell. You can't even yell for help. And I was so terrified. And I finally got sound out. And my mom came in my room, flipped on the light, and the woman's still there. I'm telling her, in a panicked kind of way, there's a woman, I see her. My mom is so cute. She's doing her best. She's flicking her hand over the canopy. She's thinking it's she's thinking my mind, my eyes are playing tricks on me. And I'm like, Mom, she's still there. She's still there. What you're doing isn't helping. And she just took a breath and sat down next to me and just like, she just looked at me. I remember her just looking at me like, what do we do now? You know, and she's just like, is she still there? I'm like, she is. And she's like, okay. She goes, I don't see what you see. I don't see her. But I do believe you do. And she's like, I believe you. You're describing her in such detail. There isn't any way you're making this up, because I was describing her in detail. And my mom's like, you know, I do believe you, and I don't know how to help you right now, but I will find people who can.
Wow.
And it's so amazing, because like, what a gift. Like, I do really feel that is one of the great gifts I was given from her, was her ability to calm herself, and also in the middle of the night to be with me and say, I don't see it. I don't see her, but I believe that you do. And from that, what I know is that I didn't shut down.
Yeah.
I didn't close off that ability. But I did learn in that moment that not everybody was seeing what I was seeing. Because before then, like the things that I would see, I just took it as normal. Like, that's just what it is. Like, everybody's seeing that. Everybody's hearing that. And I started to realize that they didn't. And so for me, like, I have always seen other dimensions. I've always seen ghosts. I've always seen even the soul of people. So even like if somebody were to speak negatively about somebody, I would often really just look at that person and often even like just start defending them. And even I remember like as a kid saying, well, you don't know why they are that way. It's like, and I would often see why they are that way.
Wow.
And defending somebody. And my mom would be like, wow, like you might be right. You know, my brother might be really negative in the car about somebody. My mom's like, you know what? Shellie might be absolutely right. I think we should give that person a chance.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's my first experience when I was young. And it has been this journey. And even though it's like that might not be quote unquote spiritual, like an enlightened moment, it really was for me in that it was a huge gift. Like I see that as a huge gift now, not as that I'm a victim of it,
Right.
but that really happened for me.
Yeah. I feel like what you're even saying is about the awakening. And you know, I do like this hand in hand, like the spiritual aspect. And then that being an awakening to something. Right? Yeah. You waking up to being, oh my gosh, this is a gift. This is a gift.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it really took some time for me to realize that it was a gift, because I went through some rough times, you know, definitely as a teenager, and feeling different and feeling like an outsider and just feeling like I was strange, you know, compared to other people. And, you know, it's taken some time to really realize, like, no, this actually is a gift. And that unseen world has really taught me more about boundaries than any human being ever could. Because it's like they can just start asking questions or just come into the room. And like I've had to really learn to say no.
Yeah.
And boundaries and be really clear, and just, a lot of saying no and getting clear, and that wasn't happening to me. Because a lot of times people can feel very victimized. Their spiritual quote unquote gifts, you know, they feel like, oh, my sensitivity is such a burden. Like, what if it wasn't? doesn't have to be a burden. What if it really is the thing that when you embrace it fully, really embrace it fully, stop feeling victimized by it, and embrace it fully, it is the thing that opens the whole world up for you.
Completely. And I feel like making this point too to everyone who's listening. If there is a family member or even a friend or something that has these, and it seems almost impossible or hard to believe, is like such a beautiful example right here of that not shutting you down.
Right.
The understanding, like, okay, you know, and holding that person in that space, like there's something actually happening for them right now. So
yes.
I think the support that you were given at such an early age, I think that's so, it's like a gem. You know,
such a gem. And I do think it's so important to validate, you know, to really validate. I'm just actually turning up my volume here. Okay. I think it's so important to validate others in their uniqueness and to step back and really just take a breath and see the bigger picture versus the small one.
Completely.
What is really happening for this person? And that oftentimes in my own head, I even say, like, even if I feel judgment, I'll stop myself and be like, this isn't mine to judge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bigger picture going on for this person. And I can't know what that bigger picture is. And so I'm going to suspend judgment here. Mm-hmm. And that's a conscious choice to really like not go down that path, but to really be, like I call that loving self-discipline, you know, of like self-disciplined love for myself. But I'm not going to go down that track and I'm going to suspend judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like going on here, but I'm gonna. It's still recording. I'm hearing myself a lot, and I think that's why I'm. Are you hearing you?
I'm hearing you echoing.
Yeah, I hear me echoing too, but I thought it was on your end.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not echoing on my end. Like, are you hearing an echo of me?
No.
I'm not hearing it.
I'm hearing an echo, but not out of my computer. That's the weird part.
Oh, weird. I'm moving my computer closer because it seemed like the echo happened when I moved it further away.
Okay. I hear it again.
Still hear it.
Damn it.
I know. Shoot.
Trying to think. Oh. Trying to just, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. I don't hear it as much. Oh.
Yeah. I think it might have helped moving the computer closer because it's like there's more, I don't know if it's true. There's more room for the feedback to be happening, or like, because I'm against a wall, you're against a wall. So it's like sound is kind of bouncing around.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't had those happen. This is so strange. Yeah, I do hear myself. It's like distracting.
Oh, I know. Because you're waiting. Yeah. You're waiting for your own voice to stop.
Yeah. I don't want to start and stop again. Should we just continue? I mean, I had some stuff with Rose too. Is that squeaking noise here and there?
Right. Right.
You talk, there's no echo, and that's really what matters.
Okay.
And it's not that loud. It's just like I could hear the of me.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I don't know how to not have that.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll just keep going.
Okay. I'll move this back then. So it's not like all of a sudden I'm like.
I want to ask this one question. When you say what are the biggest ways we hold ourselves back, is that just in general or spiritually or?
Oh, there's a lot to that.
Okay. So I'll just say that. I just want to make sure there wasn't something specific. Okay. I'm going to start right now. Great. Good stuff. So I could talk about all that forever, but I want to get to what we're going to talk about. So I want to ask you the question of what is the biggest way that we hold ourselves back?
Mm. I have seen in the work that I've been doing this work of working with people one-on-one, but also teaching workshops and helping people come into their full soul expression.
Mm.
And so what that means is embodying their power, living who they really are, walking like as their soul self in life. And one biggest thing I've seen is that people are afraid of their own power.
Mm. Yeah.
And they even project into what that means. Like their ego. And what I mean by ego is the part of them that wants to remain the same.
Mm-hmm.
Ego will convince them that being in their power is this big, big, big thing. But yet, it's like in order to be that big thing, like let's say whatever that is, it's like it requires small actions. And so people often hold themselves back by never taking the first step.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually allowing themselves to take those small actions to arrive into themselves, to start, instead of being in their head about what their power is, to actually start walking it, living it, speaking it, sharing who they are, and bring it into actuality versus just a concept. Like bring it into life. And so I really see so many people holding themselves back from taking the actual steps, move out of their head, and like they often even have this idea of, but I'm falling short of what I'm supposed to be if they do that one thing or don't do that, whatever it is. It's like it is just a mind warp that's going on.
Yeah.
Of course you're falling short from that big vision, but that big vision can never come about if you don't take the small steps to get there.
Right.
And it's not going to be handed to you.
Right.
Not going to be delivered of where, oh yes, come speak on my stage in front of hundreds of people.
Right.
Not going to happen. And that might be the big vision you have. Maybe you see yourself on television. Maybe you see yourself on radio. Maybe you see this book, many, many books you've written.
Mm.
You haven't written one email.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't made one Facebook post or whatever it is with your unique message. Not something you're sharing from somebody else, but some unique message that is your own, where it's your voice rippling out. It's your voice of sharing who you are and what your uniqueness is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see so many people holding themselves back because ultimately that is a fear, I feel, of coming into your power.
Yeah.
Like all those ways of sidestepping, it all equates to fear.
Yeah. I so agree. You know, they've gone through my career, what it look like, and how we put the word power in the category of something monstrous, right?
Yeah.
Rather than what you're saying, what is your power? You know,
Exactly.
what's your soul expression of power? I love that.
Yeah.
I think just recently I've been able to tap into what that actually means,
Mm.
you know, in a bigger way. Sometimes you feel like you've gotten there and there's like another expansion that happens. So I still really, and I guess I just would love to question, just maybe in like an example or one way that we might help somebody break through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I really feel the first part is to begin to explore what your uniqueness is. Because that's the thing. It's your, like I even call it like your soul superpower, your uniqueness is who you are. Mm-hmm. It's like it is first allowing yourself to tap into what is my unique brand of me, and like what is my uniqueness, what is my spiritual, like as a soul essence that I get to live. And so many people think that they're so sensitive, like, well, I'm so sensitive and I get so bombarded by life itself, and they kind of become a hermit because of that. And it's like, I relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like to not let that stop you. It's like to really allow yourself, because this is the thing, that when we do move into our power and we are living our uniqueness, a transmission of who we are gets emitted.
Mm.
And that transmission begins to cancel out some of that bombardment.
Yeah.
It actually does.
Yeah.
Like when you are allowing so much input to stop you, actually absorbing like that suppression or that oppression of I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm not like the others, and then like moving into comparison as well. Even a whole nother piece to this.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yes, this other piece with this is that we can fall into comparison of, oh, well, they're so polished and they look so good and they speak so powerfully, and just whatever we do to ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is where it's like, as you start feeling into what is your uniqueness, start embracing it, start appreciating it. It does start with that simple little thing. Starting to really move into appreciation of this is what makes me special.
Yeah.
And let it be the thing that makes you special versus the thing that makes you different.
Yeah.
Like really, it's a choice to move out of separation, separating yourself, making your way wrong or bad, and start really appreciating, like, this is my speciality. This is what makes me me. And this is my superpower. That when I put this to use, because this is the thing, is like, it actually is, like, as I say, your superpower. It's like when you put that to really good use, and I guarantee you already are. That's the thing. Like, it's already showing up in many areas of your life. And so it's letting yourself begin to appreciate it, begin to see it, and put it into motion, put it into action. It doesn't have to be, and I actually recommend that it's not massive steps. It's not big ones. Let it be really small.
Yeah.
So that it's like you're gaining traction and you're gaining understanding of yourself. It is a learning curve.
Yeah.
Who am I? Because that's what will free you, is this self-discovery of who am I in my uniqueness. And this is what makes me special. This is like my unique combination of awesome. And starting to celebrate that versus being so critical of it.
Yeah, and as I'm listening to you, I'm going back to actually when I took the test, the free gift that you give everyone. And I think a big part of it, because I did see where, I am losing that in certain areas, but you're right. And to answer the first question, it was almost like there was fear there and actually owning it. And there was also, even though I knew it, there was that level of distrust, which I always mentioned in some of these other interviews, that I know many of us sensitive beings have this thing about distrust, because we can almost see the truth in everything. There's no putting anything past us. So, but it's like that self-trust of that superpower, you know? I'm wondering if you can give maybe a little bit of a difference between superpower and strength.
Yeah, so I'll give an example of myself. And so in the free gift that I'm offering, it's a free report of the 5 soul superpowers. I go into detailing exactly what those superpowers are. And so an example of my soul superpower is that I'm a visionary. Like, my strongest intuitive sense is sight. I have this gift of seeing the soul of a person, and I see a bigger picture of potentiality and even what is possible. And that as a person comes into their full self, I see this bigger picture. But I also have a secondary superpower, and that's empathy. And I can move into this empathic. And the empathic could be, it's like I, in the past, may have used that even as a crutch, and have even used that as thinking that's my superpower. Is that my sense of understanding people and my deep feeling and my empathy for people and being able to relate with them on this really deep level. And I've seen this again and again, often with people who would say they have an empathy superpower. Often that is their secondary, where it's like, okay, because one thing I know is that personally, when I see my empath in action, I call her the hostess. Man, can she throw a great party, and man, can she take care of people, and everybody feels taken care of and loved and special in her presence. And like everybody just feels totally seen, completely taken care of. And that actually I see now very clearly, that's a coping behavior of mine. And when I get overwhelmed, I move into the taking care of other people. I like forget my own needs, forget what I have to do to take care of myself. I'll overgive, I'll overextend, I'll move into this overdoing, overcaring, oversensitive, over everything. It is exhausting. And I've learned this about myself because I call her the hostess, because like, oh, there she is. That hostess, she's showing up. I have a love-hate relationship with her because I love her. But I'm like, okay, it's time to reel it back and be my true self. And so in my visionary self, that's when I'm laser clear. It's when I'm not over caring, over giving, but it's where I'm seeing very clearly, I'm holding people as powerful, knowing that they are able, even if they can't see it for themselves, empowering them to step into themselves versus holding their hand, you know, and like, oh, you can do it. It's like, no, I see you. And I really know you are able. There's a huge difference in that. Because the empath can be enabling, you know, or that like, I can actually start to feel like when I step into that, the energetic drain that has on me, because that is not me in my true self. That is me in like what in the past could have felt like a strength. And like my little girl self would have been so, and was so like patted on the head, like, oh, what a good girl. Look at how you're taking care of everybody. You're such a good girl. And your heart is so big, and all of those very, very loving remarks that were made. But I know exactly how she got created. And that's not really me. In all honesty. It's like not at all really. That's there. And yes, I'm loving. But it's like, but when I'm really in my power, like laser. I mean, and you've experienced that, like on the other end of that, because I know we've shared this, but it's like there's a big difference.
Definitely. I think that was part of the, and I want to touch on this because I know with a lot of the women that are listening to this, there might even be some men listening to this too, but most highly sensitives are empathic. So I can imagine that those that take the test, like me, empathy was my strength, which when I said before, it scared me a little bit because at the time that I took it, I remember I was going through a little bit of struggling with holding the space because of the empathicness which can, for most sensitive, look like, you know, somebody may be listening to this now being like, empathy, that's one of my strengths, you know, because it can be very confusing, you know. So I totally hear what you're saying, because there's like that people pleasing aspect and that like just wanting to like assist and mother and all of that, you know. So I think it's about then working with the strength too, you know.
Yes.
Find out what it is.
And yeah, and even realizing, like, I have 5 of them detailed out, the 5 soul superpowers, but that you actually have all 5 of them.
Right.
Like, because people are like, oh, which one am I? I'm like, you're not just one of them. Like, you have all 5 of them. It's your own unique blueprint of how they are and where they land for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's to really begin to recognize, oh, that is a crutch.
Mm.
So, like, I've seen people too that have a disruptor soul superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And they are massive change agents on the planet. And it's like, what they need to be aware of is that disruptor can have a dark side.
Mm-hmm.
That can have a big FU, you know, and like they really need to be mindful of where it's like when they feel overwhelmed, they want to give the world the finger.
Mm.
And that disruptor is meant to be a rebel.
Right.
But they have to like be mindful of the abrasive side of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. It really is. It's genius, actually. I guess my next question would be, what advice would you have for people who are just, you know, finding this out and really just starting to experience their gifts?
Yeah. So the first piece of advice, when someone is just moving into experiencing their gifts, like their intuition, their unique connection with energy, and like there's an awakening that's happening, the first thing is to not dismiss it.
Mm.
And another is that, like, as you're opening your intuition, it will feel like your mind is making it all up.
Mm.
One thing I've come to see and understand is that intuition and imagination travel through the same channels in the mind.
Mm.
And so, I mean, it's just one of those things I actually get very geeked out on, like, because I see energy, I can dial into like how energy travels in people's bodies.
Mm.
And so, and like right down to seeing people's neural pathways and how they inspire. And so it's like, this is my own understanding from actually witnessing that. And like, oh, they do travel through similar channels in the mind. And so that's why people think they're making it all up.
Mm.
Because I've had so many people say to me over 20 years, well, I feel like I'm just making this all up. And it's like, yeah, in a way you are. And in all honesty, we're all making it all up anyway.
Right, exactly.
Like, create awesome. Like, if you're going to create anything, create awesome. But it will feel that way. And so it will feel like, to the logical mind, like, oh, did I just make that up, or was that real? And so what if you pause for a second and sat with it? It's like, if I didn't make it up, then what?
Mm.
It's like, what if I received that insight? Then what? And like, allow yourself to receive the information that is actually coming to you. And then what? It's like, then you might open up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is when we receive it, we allow, it's like, it's coming from us anyway. It's coming from the core of you. It's coming from your soul and the essence of the universe that wants to come through you. And so when we allow it and begin to allow it to happen versus stopping it, versus judging it, it's like, oh, okay, what if I receive this? And so you might ask, well, how do you receive it?
Mm.
Down.
What was that?
Write it down.
Down. Yeah.
By actually writing it down, there's something that happens. You're bringing information into physical reality.
Mm.
You're actually writing it down, and there is an acceptance that happens just in your writing it.
Mm.
And since everything is energy, I really suggest breathing it in. Like, we can use breath as a tool and a tool of acceptance. And so if you receive an insight, take a moment and just breathe it in. Let yourself just be with it. Not have to do anything with it. Like, we often think, like, you receive an insight, I have to do something with it. Like, that was profound. What do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do nothing but be with it and receive it. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, when we allow ourselves to be that present, receive that much, it will continue to open more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, I so agree with that. And I remember somebody once telling me that when it does end, to just keep saying more peace. Thank you, more peace. Thank you, more peace. Because I had a tendency to be like, I need more, or that's not right, or or
yes.
I need it's not right, and really you're just telling spirit, stop. Anyway. Yeah.
Right. What's so funny, I just am thinking of a story, and I'll just admit it. It's like, am I really going to admit this? I am going to admit it. Okay, so when I was young, I used to think, and I remember being like, I don't know, like maybe 13 or something. It's like, I want to be psychic. I just want to be psychic. And really asking for that, thinking, it's like what was I asking for?
Right there.
Right? It's like, I'm asking for what I already am.
Yes.
I laugh at that when I think of that young girl saying, I just want to be psychic. I wish I was psychic. I am so freaking psychic. Oh my goodness. I have just had to really, I've learned how to sort it out. I've learned how to discern it. This has all been, it's, people say, oh, you have such powerful gifts, such amazing gifts. Yes, it's it was very raw in the beginning. And I didn't know how to sort it out. I've taught myself to sort it all out. Yeah. So that's its own learning curve.
Yeah.
But, oh my goodness, it's often, why I'm saying this is often what you're wishing for, you already are.
Yeah, I so agree with that.
It's so wild that way.
It is wild that way. It's just to see ourselves. Right?
As human beings, we're so trippy. You know? Yeah.
I say that all the time. When we're going through something, it's when we start judging, it's we're humans. That's what us humans do. Yeah, we're kind of
right. And that piece of what you wish for. That is, I feel, your soul's desire coming through you. That what you long for, that's your soul's way of speaking to you. This is who you already are. This is what you get to open to and receive. It's right there.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, on that note, Shellie, such a gift. Thank you for everything that you just shared. I know that we're near the end here, so I just want to encourage everybody. You had mentioned already that. Do you want to say a little more about the gift?
Yeah, so I have a free gift. It's our free report called The 5 Soul Superpowers. It's about discovering the truth of who you really are. And the feedback I've gotten from that is that as people read through the free report, it's very detailed out, where you can see how you show up, how you hide, what you're missing. People often gasp and oh, that was me, or that is me. It's pretty evident, and you might see or might find places where you're okay, now I can see what she was saying, or what I was just saying is that's where my crutch is. That might be a secondary. of where like leaning upon that ability of yours, but it might not actually be who you are.
Mm.
You know, it's like for me, like being like the empath, yes, I'm empathic, but that's not my greatest strength.
Mm.
And so it does take some honesty, you know, as you're reading it. But it's also fun. Like you can see even like people who share your superpower, and you know, it's a fun read, I feel. But it's also like I've had so many people just be like, okay, yes, it has given them permission to own their power in a much, much bigger way than how they were owning it in the past.
Yeah, it's like that validation.
Right.
Yeah. Of like, oh wow, this is my superpower, not my weakness.
Not my curse.
Yeah, right, exactly. I was trying to think of the right word. I'm like, it's not weakness, it's curse, exactly. Now, can you also share with everybody where to find you, your website, and your other social media platforms you want to share?
Yeah. So my website is shellienelson.com. So spelled SHELLIE, Nelson, NELSON.com. And Dana's going to be sharing how to get the free report. You can access that on my website. There is a lot of information there on my site. I have a page called Cool Free Stuff. And so there's lots of cool free stuff on there, a lot of recordings and things to just, you know, to kind of sink in, just kind of experience yourself in a greater way, because that is the essence of everything I'm offering, always. It's how to come home to yourself, how to be free to be yourself as to who you really are on that deep core level, on that soul level, and bring yourself to life. I think that's all that I have to share. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And I just want to thank everybody else for listening and tuning in today, and encourage you again to take that report and go find Shellie, because she's got amazing stuff going on out there. And I just want to say love to you all. We're signing off now, but don't forget to tune in for the next interview. Bye, everyone.
Bye.